Before I get into the main message, I want to talk a little football. American football. Gridiron style football. Gladiator style football. Since NFL college football seasons are coming up. When it comes to NFL, a lot of people, or a lot of NFL fans in general, they're uncertain. They're uncertain as into what kind of season this will be. Will this be another year where we have to hear a lot about identity politics and partisanship? Will a lot of that be promoted throughout the season? Will there be anti-patriotism? Or will patriotism be promoted at all? Will there be a whole bunch of scandals? Will the season be overshadowed by a whole bunch of scandals? Will some celebrity be promoted again? Will this be another season where all the attention will be off the field instead of on the field? When it comes to my thoughts, I don't have any uncertainty, for I am certain that from this year through 2029, that the attention and the focus will be on the field for the rest of this decade. And here's why. I believe that sports have moved past the partisanship agendas and seeking attention from celebrity fan groups who don't really care about the sport to begin with. In the case of the NFL, the main reason why the focus will be on the field, at least for the rest of this decade, because we're in the midst, we're already in it. We're already experiencing a dynasty that a lot of us have never witnessed before in our modern lives. Since I've been watching NFL in the early 2000s, I have never witnessed a time where we transitioned from one great quarterback to immediately another great quarterback. And I'm talking about the transition from Tom Brady to Patrick Mahomes. And the thing that has helped this transition to be so great is the NFL media and their non-reluctance to embrace a new era, a new generational talent. You see, it's not like NBA media where you still have a lot of old heads that still wants to, that tried their hardest for so many years to resent the transition from Michael Jordan to LeBron James. Yet and still today, you still have people that wants to put, Kobe in the equation. Rest in peace, Kobe. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Kobe is just not LeBron James, in my opinion. Now you have people, you have people trying to put Anthony Edwards in the new potential GOAT debate. You have all of these old heads in the media, in NBA media, that's trying to do all they can to preserve, their hero, which is Michael Jordan. You don't have that in the NFL. You don't have NFL media. You don't have old head media figures that works for NFL media that is still trying to, beat on the dead horse and saying, oh, my generation is better and no, Brady is still the GOAT. Everybody in the NFL media have embraced the fact that Patrick Mahomes is the new GOAT. And Patrick Mahomes has an opportunity to do something very special before the end of this decade. And that is to make the Kansas City Chiefs America's new team. Now, in my opinion, America's team should be measured based on championships, the amount of championships that you have. Pittsburgh Steelers, 6. New England Patriots, 6. Dallas Cowboys, 5. San Francisco 49ers, 5. Patrick Mahomes needs 3 more Super Bowls. And at the same time, make sure that those 4 teams, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Cowboys, and the 49ers, make sure they don't get any more Super Bowls during his time. Which means the Chiefs get 7, Patriots, Steelers remain at 6, Cowboys, Niners remain at 5. And based on my opinion, the Chiefs will become America's team. And that can be done before the 2028 Olympics. You see, a lot of people in my generation, millennials and Gen Zs, we never experienced something like this. A guy where as soon as he became a starter, he was destined for greatness. As soon as he became a starter, the first game, he was dominating. Usually, guys don't start, they need a couple games and they need a couple years, they need a couple seasons to start becoming great. Brady, Manning, they needed a couple games, they needed a couple years, they needed a couple seasons to become great. But with Patrick Mahomes, as soon as he stepped on that field as a starter, he started dominating. And that what makes him, that will eventually, that is why he is as popular as he is right now. And that's why he will eventually become the GOAT. The LeBron James of the NFL. The Steph Curry of the NFL. He's basically 2-1. Patrick Mahomes is LeBron and Steph of the NFL. He's 2-1. Half man, half amazing. And because we're in the midst of witnessing greatness for the rest of this decade, the NFL no longer have to rely on gimmicks for views. Because all of us want to live and to be able to testify, to say, yeah, I saw Patrick Mahomes surpass the Steelers and the Patriots and the Cowboys and the 49ers to make the Chiefs America's team with the most Super Bowls. You see, we are going to be paying close attention to see how those 4 teams that Patrick Mahomes is chasing after. We're going to see how they're going to respond. LeBron James said he only had a ghost that he's chasing after, which is Michael Jordan. But Patrick Mahomes has 4 ghosts that he's chasing after. Steelers, Patriots, 49ers, Cowboys. Because in my opinion, championships, your level of greatness is measured based on championships, how many championships you have. I'm not the type of sports fan that devalues championships. Championships, it shows who you are. Similar to MLS, when you see those stars on top of the crest, MLS teams are noticed by the stars that's on top of the crest. Any MLS team that doesn't have any stars on top of their crest, they are non-existent to me. When it comes to NFL, how many Super Bowl championships you have? That's how I differentiate the most prestigious NFL teams from the non-prestigious team. You don't have any Super Bowls, you're not prestigious at all. You're irrelevant. The greatness of Patrick Mahomes is going to cause a lot of starting quarterbacks to become backup quarterbacks, and a lot of franchise quarterbacks to become journeyman quarterbacks. It's going to cause a lot of head coaches to become assistant coaches, and other coaches, he's just going to cause them to lose their jobs. You see, the reason why I believe it's going to be like that is because Patrick Mahomes has risen the bar on what it takes to be a starting caliber NFL quarterback. Meaning, every time you step on the field, there's an expectation that you're going to dominate. If you don't dominate, then the owners are going to find somebody else who can dominate instantly. Gone are the days where owners are just going to wait 2 to 3 years for you to dominate. Patrick Mahomes has changed that. Everybody wants their own Patrick Mahomes now. The sad reality is everybody cannot beat Patrick Mahomes, and everybody won't beat Patrick Mahomes. If you're a quarterback for the Steelers, the Niners, the Cowboys, the Patriots, the pressure and the scrutiny is going to be even more intense for you for the rest of this decade. Because you don't want to be known as the quarterback that allowed Patrick Mahomes to surpass you in the most Super Bowl championships. It's going to hurt your image. It's going to tarnish your image. And that's why I say Patrick Mahomes is going to cause a lot of starting quarterbacks to turn into backup quarterbacks, a lot of franchise quarterbacks to turn into journeyman quarterbacks. And we all want to witness such. That's why all the attention for the rest of this decade is just going to be focused on the field. We don't care about the gimmicks. We're done with the gimmicks. We're done with the political partisanship. We are focused on what's going on the field, because we are in the midst of witnessing something in the NFL that a lot of us have never witnessed before in our time. And the fact that you have NFL media all on board, everybody that's connected with the NFL is on board. You don't have a situation with the NBA where you still have a lot of old heads still worshiping their past generation. In the NFL, you have everybody on board supporting the new generation and moving forward with the new generation, which is why this dynasty, this Chiefs dynasty, is going to be the greatest dynasty in American sports history. Now, before I get into the main message, Monday Night Soccer, Leagues Cup, Seattle Sounders, Puma, I want to talk about a little college football. And there's a college football team that has been a friendly partner to MLS for many, many years. And today they still are a good partner to MLS. And this institution, this college, they really help MLS grow in the South. And if it wasn't for this institution, American soccer in general won't be where it's at in the South. If it wasn't for this institution, we don't even know if Atlanta will be the new soccer capital where the headquarters is right now. If it wasn't for this institution, Atlanta United would have been like New York City FC. Traveling, playing from different venues, different locations. If it wasn't for this institution, I don't even know if Atlanta United would have got their first star as fast as they would have. And that institution is Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech and Florida State, they open the season. They kick off the 2024 college football season in Ireland, I believe. Yes, Dublin, Ireland. And a lot of the attention will be on Florida State. Not only because, they're left out of the college football playoffs, but historically, Florida State is the better team. And Florida State is expected to easily win this game. As a matter of fact, a lot of people view this game as a warm-up for Florida State. Like Georgia Tech is it's like their preseason match. That's what a lot of people view this. A lot of people view this as a game where Florida State will, basically put their backup players in late in the third quarter because it's expected to be a blowout. That's the expectation. And Florida State has a lot to play for this year. They're seeking vengeance. They believe they were left out because their starting quarterback got injured late in the season. They believe that the College Football Playoff Committee cheated or robbed them out of making a lot of money that they would have made in the college football playoffs. And at the same time, Florida State is also disappointed in the ACC. They believe they're bigger than the ACC. So every ACC opponent they play against, they believe they're far better. And there's nothing wrong with that kind of confidence. There's nothing wrong with that kind of arrogance. Because when you're great, you just know you're great. And the thing I like about Florida State is that they can back it up. They say they're good, and then they step on the field and they show it. There's not a lot of, there's a lot of programs in college football that say they're good, but they don't back it up. They say they're historically good, but they don't show it on the field. Florida State's not one of those teams. When it comes to you, Georgia Tech, just because you're not expected to win, that does not have to define your reality. Both teams still have to step on the field, and they still have to show it. You see, when it comes to you, Georgia Tech, there's not a lot of expectations. Nobody knows what to expect. You're overshadowed by the Georgia Bulldogs. You're overshadowed by Alabama. You're overshadowed by Tennessee. You're overshadowed by Clemson. You're overshadowed by Auburn, the Florida Gators. So, like, when it comes to you, like, it's like nobody cares. It's like, oh, Georgia Tech, that's an easy win. But you know Georgia Tech. The club that you supported, the soccer league that you supported, they were once in a situation, in a, like that you were. A league where many people didn't pay much attention to. A league where people didn't care existed. But that league remained scrappy. That league remained tenacious. That league didn't give up when it looked like they were going to give up. They remained persistent year after year after year. And now they're in the 2020s. And people are finally recognizing them as a global league. I'm talking about MLS. The same way that MLS grew from being a nobody into becoming a somebody, it's the same way you can grow Georgia Tech. See, the title of this message is Closing the Gap in the 21st Century. MLS is focused on closing the gap between them and Liga MX. Now, Liga MX had a head start of many, many years. But if you look at the two leagues today, it's almost, MLS is not there yet, but it's almost getting to the point where you can't really tell the difference between the two. You can't really tell that there's a huge gap. See, you, Georgia Tech, you used to be at the top. You used to be on that mountaintop. You used to be the face of the South. Now things happen politically and education-wise. It just happens. But just because you're down, don't mean you have to stay down forever. You see, this year can be the year where you say, we are going to close the gap. We're going to close the gap against everybody who's ahead of us. Not only the Georgia Bulldogs, not only Alabama, but everybody in college football who's ahead of us. We're going to close that gap. But we're just going to, starting off, we're going to focus on the South. You see, this year in general is a big year for Georgia Tech football, in my opinion. Because not only you're playing your traditional in-state rival, you have a new in-state rival that's in your own city. And they said they're going to take the city from you. They said Atlanta is theirs now. They said, Georgia Tech, you're just some old head. You're not relevant anymore. Atlanta is for us. We're more popular. We look better. We recruit better players. We're the talk of the town. And that school is Georgia State University. You see, Georgia Tech, you got to defend your turf this year. Gone are the days where you were the their only premier face of college football in the city of Atlanta. You got competition now. And that school has been growing fast, growing strong. And they're ready to let the city know that Atlanta is theirs. So this year, 2 in-state rivals, Georgia Bulldogs, Georgia State. What a great year it will be to send a message to the nation that it's a new era in Georgia Tech football by beating Florida State, beating Georgia State, beating Georgia, and just becoming a respectable force in college football. You see, you can close the gap within a 20 to 30 year window. Being competitive on the field, not getting blown out, beating your arch rivals. Then when we get to the 2050s, like somewhere between the late 2040s to the mid 2050s, and we're looking at Georgia Tech football, we're wondering, well, how did Georgia Tech football become so good? We'll trace it back to the 2024 squad. The seniors on the football team, the juniors on the football team, the football leadership who said, enough. We're not going to let we're not going to let people step all over us anymore. We're no longer going to be the laughing stock of the South. People are going to fear us whenever we step on that field. People are going to respect us whenever we step on that field. And you can send that message starting this year. This can be the year where you say, this is a new era in Georgia Tech football. You can send that message to the nation starting against Florida State. Perfect way. Good opportunity. Very good opportunity. Now, the main message. So tonight in Seattle, Washington, Leagues Cup round of 16 kicks off. And Major League Soccer has been going above and beyond to boost their brand and their overall image, just to improve their overall quality this decade. I have to be honest, ever since I've been watching MLS in 2021, I did not expect to see this kind of tenacity, this fervor to become great so fast. Thought it was probably going to be more like a 10-year thing. Like in 10 years, we'll see a guy like Messi, a player of that caliber. I really didn't think it would have been within 3 years of me watching MLS. I still don't like the fact that key players are sold in the middle of the season. But at the same time, I'm starting to understand it is a business and, you got to secure the bag. I still don't like the fact that a lot of key players are sold in the middle of the season. At the end of the season, that's fine. Players sold in December, January, even February. Okay. February, that's fine. Whatever. December, January, February, players sold. I get it. Well, teams who are in the middle of a championship pursuit, you sell a key player in the middle of the season, I just don't like that. It's just a bad look for the league, in my opinion, even though you're securing the bag. But speaking of championship pursuits, last week when the Seattle Sounders played against LA Galaxy, I saw a different Seattle Sounder team, a team that I have not seen in a while. They look like a team that is ready to win something, whether that's a League's Cup, whether that's MLS Cup title. I'm getting championship vibes from this Seattle Sounders squad, and I noticed the Seattle Sounders played their best when they are not concerned about what outsiders think. They're not concerned about what people on social media, the naysayers, they're not concerned about what they think about them. The Seattle Sounders play their best when they have a bad man attitude, a bad boy attitude. As in, when it comes to the opponent, we don't care who you are. We don't care who your star players are. You're not better than us. We're going to beat you, and we're going to beat you badly. We're going to outplay you. We're going to outcoach you. We're going to out-tactic you, out-scheme you. We're just going to outplay you in every aspect of the game. That's when the Sounders play their best. That's how the Sounders played back in 2022 when they won the CCC. They didn't care that New York City FC was the defending MLS Cup champion during the CCC. They outplayed them. They didn't care that Pumas, they had to play Pumas in a tough environment in Mexico. They managed to beat Pumas in the two-leg final. The Sounders may not be as historical as the LA Galaxy yet, but they're getting there. They're getting there. And if they, adapt to time, the changes in time, Miami and LAFC, they'll eventually get there a little faster than the pace that they're on right now. But the big thing that if you're watching Monday Night Soccer tonight, the bigger thing that you should be paying attention to is how Major League Soccer is pursuing to close the gap between them and Liga MX in the 21st century. You see, what MLS did in the 90s, you can't really count that when comparing them to Liga MX because MLS started late in the 20th century. The gap that we are focused on is the 21st century. (2001) or the year 2000 to the year 2100. When comparing MLS, Liga MX, that's what we're focused on. So, yeah, what Liga MX did before the year 2000 when comparing it to MLS, that doesn't matter. That doesn't count. We're focused on this century. And yes, MLS still has a lot of work to do. The gap is still wide between Liga MX and MLS. But MLS is making some strides to close that gap. And eventually, they will get there. I don't know how soon, but I think we'll get a good idea of what it's looking like when we get to the 2040s and the 2050s. Mainly the 2050s. I think we'll have a better idea of what that gap is looking like. Because even though MLS is still growing and it's been around for a while, MLS still has some maturation, some growing pains to get through. Yes, more people are watching MLS more than ever before, in large part thanks to Apple TV. And because of that, MLS is going to expand more. Now, I know the commissioner said that he don't see there's no expansion going on anytime soon. But MLS is growing to the point where they themselves will no longer have control on expansion. You see, the growth of MLS is similar to Apple and Amazon. You know, when Apple and Amazon first started, you know, the creators of those entities, those big businesses, the creators had control over what the locations they will be and basically how the business will operate and where they'll expand to and where they won't expand to. Yeah, starting off, the creator of Apple did have that kind of power. But as Apple grew and kept growing, that creator no longer had the power to dictate where Apple will be and where Apple will operate. The data and the popularity became the dictator. And that's what's going to happen with MLS eventually. Yeah, MLS has control of expansion, when they're going to expand and where they're going to expand to. But eventually MLS will no longer have that kind of control because its growth, MLS is growing extremely fast right now and it's not slowing down. The growth is going to continue to accelerate and grow big to the point where the data, the popularity, and the dollars will determine expansion. I strongly believe that we will have 40 MLS teams by the year 2040. That's why I say when we get to the 2050s, we'll have a good idea of what this gap between MLS and Liga MX is looking like. But in the 2020s is like the jump start of such, where we are firmly paying attention to MLS now. And we want to witness how MLS is going to continue to grow. So when the Seattle Sounders step on the field tonight against Puma, we're not only paying attention to the Seattle Sounders, we'll be paying attention to MLS as a whole this Monday night. And we are going to be looking to see how this league continues to grow and the manifestation of the academies, the DPs, everything that MLS has been working behind closed doors to provide to the public. That's what we're going to be paying attention to tonight. And the Seattle Sounders is a product of such manifestation. The first and only MLS club to appear in a Club World Cup. The MLS club to break the MLS championship less streak, the MLS losing streak in the CCC. That's what we're going to be mainly paying attention to tonight. Not only the Seattle Sounders, but MLS as a whole, and how this league continues to grow within our eyes. Because we want to be able to live and to testify and to witness and say, yes, I saw MLS grow and become a top soccer league in this world. This is a huge decade for American sports. World Cup, Olympics. So all sports leagues are going to be focused on their brand, improving their brand, marketing their brand. That's why I say the politics and the celebrity gimmicks, those days are over. Leagues and teams are going to start focusing on the field. What are we doing on the field? It's trophy hunting time. In the case of MLS, it's star hunting time. And as for the Seattle Sounders, speaking of trophy, it's time to add another trophy to that trophy case. See, the League's Cup section of that trophy case is empty. Maybe this is the year where you put something on the League's Cup section of your prestigious historical trophy collection.